What's happening? It's been so long since we've gotten together and I have done a video like this. So I'm excited to have you here with me. Today we're going to be talking about dumb phones. And you might wonder what I've encountered and what I've learned through this process of getting a dumb phone. And hopefully you find it inspiring and you get something out of this video. I'm Paige. I'm the chief pixel pusher and paintbrusher over at Gumption. And of course, we all know that using a smartphone is what most people do these days. It's really unusual or rare to see somebody operating a flip phone, right? Well, I made the leap here about 4 weeks ago, and I want to share my experience with you, some of my frustrations, and how I'm maneuvering them to date. There are going to be some things that change moving forward, but at this time, these are some things that I can share with you as you might be making this journey as well. So I have had an iPhone since they became available. I actually waited in line at 5:30 in the morning, I think at an AT&T outside to get my first iPhone. Before that, I had a BlackBerry and I couldn't wait until Apple released this iPhone. And I am a Mac lover at heart. And so they made it really easy, like everything with their operating system, to have this little computer, this mini computer in your hand. You can check your email, you could have social media apps on it, and it was improving all the time. And of course, you have Siri and that smart calendar, which was great. But over the years, things have changed a lot, and I have become a slave to my phone, which I don't love. I seriously was wondering, do I have adult ADHD or worse? Do I have memory loss? I can't remember anything. Um, what is really going on? And seriously, I was checking it all the time. I'd go in one app, check, see nothing happened, go into another app, check, see nothing happened. And it would be a vicious cycle. And I was on the phone all day long. And about 4 years ago, I think I got a new iPhone. And even at that time, I was thinking, I don't want to have this iPhone anymore. It's kind of taken over my life and I just don't want it. Yet I went and got it. So, here about 4 weeks ago, I decided I wanted a flip phone. I didn't want a smartphone anymore. And I got this Alcatel GO FLIP 4. And we're going to talk about the benefits and the drawbacks of this phone. This is a solid phone for just phone's purpose. And it's definitely getting me into the mode of not using my smartphone. I still have my old iPhone here that basically operates like an iPod that I don't carry with me all the time. But we'll also talk about the reasons that sometimes I will carry this. It doesn't have cell phone service to it. I can tether with it. So when you're traveling, if you're in a spot, you can tether to this phone and I can have some internet service to use GPS and things. But we're going to talk also about how alternative ways that I am using different things to get around not having a smartphone. So let's talk about the issues that I've had with smartphones personally. This may have meaning for you as well. One of the things that I don't love about smartphones is I'm too accessible. So I'm getting Facebook notifications, Instagram, email, texting, which is great. You feel loved, but also it's a huge distraction and makes it so I can't concentrate. I'm constantly interrupted. A year or so ago, I turned off all my notifications for apps, and that really helped because I wasn't getting notified all the time. But I found anytime that there's a little red reminder that you've got a message or anything, that's really distracting, and I just want to clear it off my phone. Well, it's sucking up my time. And there are so many things that I need to be doing, want to be working on. This is really sucking up a lot of my time. Too many notifications. And like I said, I have no self-control to stay off this thing, to not check those things. And that's another pitfall of the smartphone. Even when I deleted apps off the phone, I still would find myself checking them or reinstalling them. So again, I'm kind of putting myself in that position again. One of the deciding factors at the time when I decided that I needed a new phone was these are really expensive, like $1,000 expensive. And we willingly purchased this little computer and just pay that. And it's just part of an expense that we feel that we have to make, right? We don't have a choice. This phone was $100. It has some functionality to it, but that's a huge difference. That's $900 difference, right? So that was one thought that went through my mind. The other thing that I find that I don't love about smartphones is that these really are marketing tools for other businesses so they can market to us. So I'm kind of like a marketing guinea pig. We all are really if we're online. And that's just one of those things that we have to deal with if we want to be on the internet. But I felt like maybe I didn't need to be tracked. Maybe I didn't need to give up information so freely. Maybe I could be more conscientious about how I used myself as a marketing tool for other companies. Now, keep in mind, this phone actually has the ability to have Google on here and some GPS, but it's such a huge pain in the neck. And I really didn't want to get sucked into being able to be tracked. So I'm not using those features on this phone. It really is like using a cursor. It's really a pain. So the other thing that I love and hate about smartphones, of course, as an artist, I love Instagram and all the creative work that I get to see. I don't really experience FOMO, I don't think, with Instagram, but I felt like I was looking at imagery a lot and not creating as much. And for me, I feel like it's more important for me to be creating work than to be observing what other people are doing too. It can really affect some artists negatively. They feel like they have to live up to someone else's concept of great artwork when really you need to be creating your own artwork and finding your own voice. I feel I have a pretty strong voice in my artwork, but I don't necessarily need to waste all my time looking at other people's work when it's really important for me to create myself. So again, I'm talking about with a smartphone, I'm distracted all the time. I have no memory, can't remember anybody's phone number. Don't ask me my husband's phone number. I have no attention span. That is what the smartphone has enabled in me. We're really lucky at this innovation in technology. But I know that life can still happen without a smartphone. And, I'm really lucky to have lived in a time and grew up in a time when not everybody even necessarily had an answering machine, right? Or, voicemail and call waiting were really exciting because you knew who was calling and people could leave voicemails on your phone. Fast forward to today where everybody has this small computer in their pocket. It might seem like you can't survive without a cell phone, but you surely can. I can promise you that. And it definitely takes you down a notch when you have to explore life without a smartphone, but also is very relieving as well. So it can be done. Just know there are ways around it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the benefits of the dumb phone, and one of them is battery life. So the battery on this, I haven't actually just run it out entirely, but at least 3 days on this phone, which is great. I think it can go longer. I don't love being on the phone, so I really prefer texting as opposed to calling. But one of the benefits of the dumb phone is that I'll just call people because, frankly, texting is a nightmare. So the battery life lasts for a long time, which is great. This has minimal distraction. It has notifications when somebody calls or they leaves you a voicemail or they send you a text. This phone has good audio quality. It sounds good on the other end. It's strong. It's a good phone. You can also use this to tether other devices. So if I wanted to tether my other smartphone to browse the web or do something like that, or check email if I had to do that, or even GPS, I can tether it to this phone and check those things. I'll say no Google, but this phone actually has Google capabilities. Again, like I mentioned before, it's a pain. If you're in a really tough spot, you could use Google on this thing. This phone, as goofy as it is, it has allowed me to be more present. I do feel like my memory is coming back. I found extra time in my life to read and to do other things that I always say, oh, I want to read more books, whatnot. Now I have the time to do it. because I'm making the time. And when I get up in the morning, I'm not checking my phone straight away and wasting an hour somehow on my phone. I just get up, get ready, do a little reading, and then get to work. So my concentration is better. I'm actually scheduling my time throughout my day in a much more strategic, smart way. I check my email periodically and might check social media periodically. Just because I've moved to this dumb phone doesn't mean that I'm not still online or still using social media platforms. I'm just using them a whole lot less. I also feel like I have less anxiety. One of the things that I used to do 20 years ago would I turn on the news and I'd watch news for half an hour and then I'd go to work. I knew what was happening in the world, 30 minutes of my day, then I went about my life. Now with smartphones, we are in the news all the time. We have these feeds that are hitting us on Facebook and through the smartphone. And I don't know about you, but I don't even read a lot of articles because I feel like it really affects my anxiety levels. And so not having access to 24/7 news really has, I feel like, lifted me up a little bit. And I'm really enjoying that part of this dumb phone revolution. And I think I'm feeling more creative. I'm more ready to be creative and sit down and work for a block of time. I think I'm going to continue to find that that is a result of having this phone. I'll keep you posted. Okay, now we'll talk about the downfalls of this phone. I've talked about it a little bit, but let's just do the list here. Texting truly is a nightmare. You can see this is the old school keyboard that has predictive text that doesn't make any sense. So you have to figure out how to turn that off. And then, texting takes forever. This will be one of the reasons, this will be the main reason that I will use a different phone in a few weeks because I can't get over this hump. It doesn't really do group text very well. They come in separately, and that's kind of a deal breaker for me. So let's be honest. Good little phone, not great for texting. The GPS sucks on this. It's just not easy to use. And if you're driving, if you're going somewhere, you better be the passenger because using this isn't going to be helpful, really. And you can use this via Bluetooth with your phone. I've had some issues with that. It will work with a newer car and you can talk hands-free with it. One of the big issues that I have with this phone, which is I think why I never switched the last time I got a new phone, was I can't use Square on this. I run a small business. I have to use my cell phone and the Square app to run my business. I can't do that. There are ways around it, which I will get into. The other downfall of this phone is you can't transfer your contacts unless you have a SIM card, which I'm using an iPhone, so I can't use iCloud to transfer my contacts. And it doesn't allow you to put the entire name of a person in it. It's kind of weird, and I'm not sure why that happens. I'm sure maybe the old Nokias were like that, but that's something to keep in mind if that's important to you. Again, there's no voice to text or anything like that, so there's nothing to make that texting any easier. And finally, there is kind of a crappy camera on this. So the camera, there is one, but it's not very good, so I won't be using it. And I kind of use my camera on my smartphone all the time, so it is kind of important to me. There are ways around that. I have a really nice camera that I can carry around, and I can carry this around if I want to use the camera if I go on a walk or something. So let's talk about some alternatives to the smartphone. Of course, you could get an iPod and put apps on that and use the iPod for a camera and things like that. And that would be kind of inexpensive for me because I have to operate Square and I need that for my business. I invested in a really inexpensive iPad with a plan that's associated with it so I can run my Square through it. I also use that iPad for GPS when I go on trips. So we went right after I got this dumb phone, we went to Salt Lake City and I used the iPad to use GPS on it and it worked like a dream. To recap, the benefits of having a dumb phone really are that I am a little more present in my life. I am doing things like reading more. I'm more productive, I feel like. I'm checking email periodically, and I'm online a whole lot less. When I have to go wait somewhere, I enjoy that time to either read or to play in my sketchbook. What a great way to spend time. And it's okay to be a little bit bored. It has freed up a tremendous amount of my time, and I think it will continue to do so moving forward. Again, I work from home, so I still have the ability to have all these distractions, but I'm finding that there are a lot less, and I'm feeling a lot better about it. Moving forward, I'm going to have a series of videos like this. I will be getting the Light Phone 2, so maybe I save myself a little bit of money. Not quite sure. It's not a cheap phone, but it offers a little bit more and a little bit less functionality than this phone. Definitely the texting is going to be better. You will see a lot of people who review it, they don't love the keyboard, but it allows you to have that QWERTY keyboard, and it has voice to text, which for me is really important and is pretty much the entire reason I'm getting that phone. Plus, it has 0 Google on it, and it has some GPS on it. Look for that video in the future. Hopefully you got something out of this video as you are embarking potentially on making that switch. There are ways around some of the difficulties, and obviously I'm still navigating those. 4 weeks in, I'm doing pretty good though. And I'm pretty sure you will too. If you find that you're making the switch or have made the switch, leave me a comment below and let me know how you found it, what some of your frustrations were, what some of your victories were. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care and stay creative.